Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly Potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake the Attorney Mason. We got college basketball underway. It's a weird college football week. We're both we're actually UC is not playing and the Bengals are not playing in the NFL, but we've got some Bengals to talk about as well. Our gambling segment and so much more. So Rick, let's get right to it.
Yeah, nice weekend for the local TV guys that don't have to be doing UC or the Bengals in the same weekend. That's pretty strong, double bye week. Skinny, the Bengals, big story this week was the trade deadline passing at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. The Bengals did trade linebacker Logan Wilson to the Cowboys for a 7th-round pick in the upcoming draft. So we'll start there. Are you surprised that that's all that they could get for Logan Wilson?
No, the best thing you got for Logan Wilson is you unloaded his contract. I mean, he was on the books for 2026 and 2027 at a $6 million base salary for each year. So you were able to unload that. I think that's the biggest thing. And you got something in return. You weren't going to get any more than that in return, in my opinion. So it was the right thing to do on many fronts. They want these rookie linebackers to take a leadership role, and it's kind of hard to do that when a guy who's a captain's a couple of lockers away, and it just felt awkward the last week plus since Logan asked for the trade. And I don't mean that to sound that Logan made it awkward, because he didn't. He's just not that type of guy. But it was the right thing to do. If you're moving forward with the rookies and you want them to start to become leaders, then I think this was the thing to do.
I buy that. I buy that having the veteran in the room who maybe they looked up to or was maybe helping them and showing them the ropes early on gets awkward when he's no longer the guy, but you don't necessarily want to speak up because you're kind of the understudy still. It's a weird thing. I believe all of that. But here's the only problem or question I have about it is I keep hearing they want the young guys to be the leaders. Well, the young guys stink right now. That's the other part about being a leader. You actually have to be good to be able to speak up and say something to your teammates. And that's the part I think everyone just keeps glossing over is these young guys haven't taken hold of the position. They haven't been any good. They're not leaders. So while I have no issue with trading Logan Wilson because I think he was long in the tooth, the Bengals had moved on from him. So I'm totally fine getting the contract off the books. I keep hearing this narrative being put out there of these young guys are now going to step into a leadership role because Logan's out the door. It's they might go out and miss 10 more tackles this Sunday and no one's going to want to hear a word they have to say.
That's the problem on that side of the ball at the moment. You don't have anybody making plays outside of DJ Turner, and he's a quiet guy. That's a big problem.
Yeah. And here's the other part of this, I guess. Again, not saying they needed to keep Logan Wilson in any shape or form. That's not what I'm getting at here, but I do just wonder about this current plan. Do you think Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter will both be starting for this team next year on opening day?
That's a great question. I'm going to defer to see what happens over the last 8 games, because I do think guys improve at different levels and different paces and different speeds where, maybe it's 3 more games for Barrett Carter and it's the whole rest of this season for Demetrius Knight or even early into next season. So I'm going to defer to – I want to see it. Now we're going to see them take they were basically taking all the snaps anyway. But now I want to see 8 more games of this for these two guys. They're still very, very young in their career. At this point of Jermaine Pratt's rookie season, this is the part where he started for the first time. Logan Wilson started, I think, 2 games as a rookie and didn't become a full-time starter until the next year. And so if you'd asked the question of those two guys, the jury was still very much out. And I think it's fair to still be out on these two guys.
And that's totally fair. I agree with that. And you do need to see the rest of the season before you're making those types of guesses. But, Skinny, do you see where I'm getting at with this? As of we're going down this path now of, hey, these guys are the future. They're ready. We've seen nothing from them that suggests that they're actually going to make this defense good in the near future. So I'm a little bit concerned about this idea of we're moving on with these two guys. We're moving on with these two guys. And they go into next year and these guys just continue basically playing the same way they've been playing to this point. It's that's not a good plan for next year for how to fix this defense.
No, it's a legit concern. I don't think PFF grades are the be all end all, but they are something to look at. If you go by the PFF grades, I don't even know if you're aware of this because you're talking into your own narrative here. Demetrius Knight is the 80th ranked linebacker out of 82 in the NFL, and Barrett Carter's 82nd of 82.
Right. That's the one thing is there seems to be 2 things going on right now. There's what's actually happening on the field, and then there's this narrative that we're all kind of following, media and coaches alike, outside what's actually happening with the games. And we keep talking about this linebacker narrative as if it's going well, as if it's this is smooth. This is a
it's not
transfer of power, and we're going to keep rolling with this. And I don't understand why everyone's okay with that, because it doesn't seem like a good idea right now.
Well, I think everyone's okay with it because it is what it is. I mean, there's no other alternative at the moment. I mean, there can be an alternative next year, to your point, if you don't think this is going right, by either drafting another one or going into free agency. But my lands, you need a whole new safety room. You need at least one corner. Honestly, you could take the whole group of defensive linemen and wash them out, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings, and go get a bunch of new. I mean, you got so much to overhaul on that side of the football.
Right. No doubt about it. I mean, you almost have to stick with something after this year.
Correct.
Of like, okay, we've got the most faith in this position group. We're going to stick with them and just try to shore up everything around them. So maybe that will end up being the linebacker room. But like, as of right now, I think the linebackers are as big of a disaster as anything else on this
absolutely.
defense. The defensive line is horrible. The safeties are horrible, but so are these linebackers.
I mean, the only one who's playing at a I don't even want to call it, it's more than capable, at elite levels, DJ Turner. I mean, they traveled him with Rome Odunze on Sunday. You know how many catches Rome Odunze had?
Do you have one?
None.
Zero? Yeah.
No targets, no catches. And this is, DK Metcalf had that one long ball against him in that Thursday game. And after that, I think he had 3 other catches for like 14 yards. I mean, this dude's turning into an elite corner.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And what you were about to say was actually right, too. He is playing at close to an elite level or an elite level, but he's the only one on the team that's playing at a passable level right now on the defensive side. Why do you think Trey Hendrickson wasn't traded?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase that. What's the value in keeping him the rest of this year?
There is none, in my opinion. It's
Agreed.
them. I know Paul Dehner Jr. wrote in The Athletic, and I don't think he's wrong, that they're not going to surrender on a season at any point, and they still think they can get back into this thing, and they're not waving the white flag, and that's fine if that's the narrative that he believes, or that they would put out there if they talk to people. Then why did you not go get players to help now? Why did you not go add to the safety room, add a pass rusher, add a defense, add something? Instead, you literally stood pat, other than making Logan Wilson a happy guy by trading him away. So literally you did nothing. And I know they could argue, well, if we let him walk in free agency and the best offer we got was a 3rd-round pick. Let's just throw that out there. I don't know what the best offer was. They were supposedly still asking for ones, and nobody was going to give them a 1st-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. So that was a pipe dream. Let's just say the best they got was a 3rd-round offer back, and they could
Why wouldn't you take that?
Well, I'm with you, but they could say to you, well, if we let him walk in free agency, we'll get a 3rd-round compensatory pick back for that anyway. So what's the point? To which I would say, you're going to sign so many free agents next offseason, or you have to, that you're going to wipe out any compensatory picks you're going to get in return for any of your free agents. So that ship had sailed. So to answer your question, it's because, Rick, they don't know what they're doing. Simple as that.
I mean, really, I'm not trying to go too hard on the Trey Hendrickson thing, but I can't understand a world at this point. You've clearly decided we're kind of waving the white flag. We're not going to compete this season. I don't understand how next year, given everything that you have to do with this defense, how you could justify bringing back Trey Hendrickson's contract for another year, or an extended deal like he wants. And also after an injury bout that he's had this year. That's and him getting even older, why would you even consider spending that much money on him when you need so many other positions shored up? Yeah, no,
I mean, they're looking smarter and smarter for not giving him that guaranteed deal, right?
Yes.
Because, and I mentioned this at the time, you get to your 30s, man, that first injury hits and it feels like it just doesn't go away. And people can say he's making business decisions. I don't believe that. I do believe he tried to do them a solid by coming back and after missing a game and playing a game and not playing it at 100% and then re-injuring it, re-aggravating it. So what do you think he's going to do now? There's going to be so much doubt in his mind of, I'm not going out there until I'm 100,000%. I'm not going to embarrass myself as a player or push through this injury. So what even kind of player are you going to get out of Trey Hendrickson over the last 8 games anyway? That's the thing. I mean, he's like, you said he's not making business decisions, but at this point, he is going to make a business decision. Right. And he's not going to play probably the rest of the year, or definitely not until he's like 1,000% healthy and he can't feel any bruises or sneezes or sniffles. Or I don't blame him. No, right. There's nothing to play for this year. You've got to the only thing that now you get a little worried about is he didn't produce at all when he was on the field this year, and now he's hurt. So is there any bit of he and his agent feeling like he needs to get back on the field to show he's still Trey Hendrickson for next offseason to collect more money? I don't think that happens until he's 100%.
Agreed. Like need like the last week or two probably just for him to show himself of like, yeah, I'm right. I'm good.
I don't. It could come as early as this next game for all I know. I just don't.
I don't think that's going to happen.
A hip back injury. I don't know how bad it is. All I know is he hurt it, left the game in Green Bay, didn't play the next game, tried to come back, hurt it again, didn't play this last game, and so is the bye week all he needs to get rest? We'll find out when we see the first injury report of next week on Wednesday, where he stands with that injury. So, back to your initial question, there's no logical sense for that. I mean, I guess you could argue tag and trade him. Those just don't happen anymore in the league. They just don't.
Yeah, no one's doing that. Again, quit being caught in between.
Right.
Make a decision, decide what your path is, and then follow through on that plan. And the Bengals never seem to want to do that. They always want to kind of like half-ass the plan or kind of do the plan, but still, hey, we're actually still competitive this year. We're going to keep. No, you're not. The season's over. You should be getting rid of any parts you can that are worth of anything and that are costing you any money to try to reload for this defense for next season. That should be the only plan. And you keeping Trey Hendrickson on your roster this year completely goes against that concept.
Correct. No, again, I go back to, I'll say it slowly again. They don't know what they're doing.
Now, the one thing I will say, obviously, they're out of it at this point, so they shouldn't have been trading to try to add players. I don't think.
But my point was, if the reason you kept Trey Hendrickson is because you held that belief as an organization, well, okay, if that was your belief, then you did need to go add to your roster.
Right. I'm switching gears here. I know some fans were like, why didn't they do more? Why didn't they try to go get a big name defender or something like that to help fix the situation? I don't think they should have been doing that because they're already out of it. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not railing against that. But I also think one thing that is worth keeping in mind for fans, everyone is always like, oh, trade deadline's coming. Go make a move. Go get someone. When you look at all the trades that happened after they're already done, now trade deadline's come and gone. Ultimately, Joe Flacco's probably like as impactful of a trade or right there under Sauce Gardner maybe as was made in the entire NFL this year. Yep. So not to point out that the Bengals did right or did wrong, but just like everyone talks about making these trades that are going to change your team. And as it turns out, there's like 2 or 3 of those trades that actually happen. Everyone else is just a milquetoast whatever type of trade.
Correct. Yeah.
Skinny, we're talking about where the Bengals are at now after this last loss. How do you view this season now? What makes it worth watching for Bengals fans? What are you looking for at this point?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm looking for the 2 rookie linebackers to start playing better and start making some progress. And I want to put Shamar Stewart in that mix, but he's just been so bad. He's been exactly what we thought he was. And I know it's a small sample size. That's probably not fair because he's missed time by injury, but he literally has been exactly what we thought he was. And the whole thing continues to lead me down the path of how is Duke Tobin still employed? I mean, his draft since 2021, for the most part, have been an unmitigated disaster. Jackson Carman, 2nd rounder. Zach Carter, remember him? 3rd round defensive end from Florida. They tried to make into a 3-technique defensive tackle. Not so good, my friend. Jermaine Burton and McKinley Jackson, 2 third-rounders from last year who can't even get on the field. I'm doing this off the top of my head because I'm going to miss somebody probably obvious along the way. Miles Murphy, 1st rounder in 2023, dud. And honestly, PFF-wise, your first 3 picks from this year are all duds. Chris Jenkins, 2nd-round pick from last year, is a dud. Well, I mean, when are you going to hit? And don't give me, well, he hit on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You know what?
Is that the last good draft, though?
Jamar Chase. What's that?
Is that the last good draft?
The Burrow, Higgins, Logan Wilson was probably the last good one. And you only have 2 of those guys left on your roster at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Do you think fans should be hoping for it to get as ugly as possible so that, 1, they get the best draft positioning, and 2, there's a higher likelihood of there being some type of change in the front office? Or would you rather see the defense make strides and they finish 6-11?
I don't think they're capable of it. The personnel, the sample size now is too big. And listen, you can point to Al Golden all you want. That's fine. I'm not going to tell you he's not culpable because he's the defensive coordinator. But you thought it was the coordinator, man. The front office thought the coordinator is the issue. Let's go ahead and make this change. How's that worked out for you? So at that point now, it's not just the sample size of these first 9 games. And there's a couple of different parts. The 2 rookie linebackers, TJ Slayton, who's been a dud. you basically ran it back with the same dudes, thinking you were going to get a different result with a new voice and new concepts in the room, and you haven't. So at that point, you got a large sample size of these players suck.
Even worse than that, Skinny, they didn't run it back with the same group. They got younger, less experienced. I mean, they really did. I've said this since before the season started. It's arguable that they got worse at the few positions they need to get better at defense going into this year.
No, that's a fair point.
That's a legit argument. And that was that way going into the year. It wasn't like this was a shock. You could see it coming from a mile away. Like, hey, their plan was to ask a guy who they thought so little of that he needed to take a pay cut to be their leader in the safety group. That was like the standout guy that they had.
And listen, I've had this question asked to me 1,000 times. Why not give one of the they don't believe in the backups that they can play safety at all unless it's a complete emergency
special teamers
injury. Yeah, they don't trust them to be on the field on defense. And so in the offseason, you knew that in the offseason, and yet you did nothing to help that room. Not a damn thing.
Yeah, I do think someone should be held accountable. Everyone talks about the Duke Tobin stuff, and you can go back and forth on, is it his fault or not? It clearly is his fault at some level. And somebody absolutely should be held accountable for the plan at safety going into this season.
Yes.
It's like inexcusable. Someone they have to look down the line and say, whose call was this at the end of the day to decide to go run it back with these dudes?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this because you'd never get the honest answer to it. Because Al Golden has spoken glowingly of all those players at some point, which at some point it makes you look stupid. And I like Al a lot on a personal level. I don't know if Al Golden came in and watched tape and said, no, I think we're good there. If that's on him, shame on him. I don't believe it was on him. I can't believe he looked at that safety play and go, I can make this better back there. Because the thing is, you didn't have depth, and there's no way. There's no film on Tyson Anderson. There was very little film on Dejon Anthony, who's been on the PUP or the IR all season long. And PJ Jules was a practice squad guy. So there wasn't enough film on them to go, yeah, I'm okay if we run it back with Gino and Jordan as the two starters and Tyson and either Dejon or PJ Jules as the back. I mean, PJ Jules played his way onto the roster by what he did in training camp because Dejon Anthony got hurt. So I can't believe Al Golden had enough film to go, yeah, I'm good there. That had to be above him by a mile.
It's also not the responsibility of the first-time NFL defensive coordinator who's excited to be getting that job. What's he going to do? Come in and be like, no, you got to give me better players. These guys all suck. I can't possibly coach this.
Right.
No, he just wanted to get the job. He's going to tell you he can make anything work. That's not his. Your job as the GM, which the Bengals don't have, I guess Duke Tobin, is to give him the players to succeed. It's not his job to tell you, no, this is good in my first year. I'm okay with this.
And again, you drafted Miles Murphy in the first round, who should be a starter by now, and literally is just horrendous.
Shout out to my guy Joseph Osai.
Shamar Stewart this year because you stopped believing a little bit in Miles Murphy that you needed some more depth at that position. You re-signed Joseph Osai out of complete necessity. You re-signed B.J. Hill to just an idiotic contract at age 30 where he's still on the books for 2026 and 2027 for $6 million and $8 million. I mean, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
That's a terrible contract. I mean, really, Jay Morrison put this graphic out there, but top 3 in the NFL in missed tackles right now, as we sit here today. Jordan Battle, number 1 with 15. Demetrius Knight with 14. And then Geno Stone is 4th out of that group with 13.
Yep.
3 of the top 4 guys in missed tackles.
It's and listen, this was a problem last year too. So again, it's not a matter of, well, they can tackle more in training camp and be. For starters, you can't tackle in the regular season because the CBA doesn't allow it. Once the regular season starts, there's no tackling in practice allowed. So if you're wondering why don't they tackle in practice, it's not allowed. Could you have done more in training camp? Yeah, probably could. I think they need to be a little more physical in camp than what they are. I don't think they need to kill each other like they did in the olden days, but I do think you need to be a little bit more physical. But these guys didn't tackle last year. What made you suddenly think they were going to become good tacklers?
There was nothing to make that the case. I mean, there's no reason you should have thought that going into the year.
I mean, that play on Colston Loveland was embarrassing.
Oh, really? You went back-to-back weeks seeing the most inexcusable losses you'll ever witness as an NFL fan of a team, and you saw them in back-to-back weeks with this team. It was just absolutely brutal. So going back to the original question, you are on the boat of this team basically. Everyone hates this word, but they should be tanking. If you're a fan, you should want this to be as ugly as possible, right?
Tanking isn't the right word.
They won't be trying to do that, but as a fan, that's what you should want, essentially.
Correct. I think as a fan, you should root for the chaos.
Yeah, I want it to be as ugly as possible.
I mean, it took a lot of years of chaos in the 90s into the early 2000s to finally make a change and bring in a Marvin Lewis and allow him to have a voice in the room. But now it feels like Duke Tobin has wrestled a lot of authority away that maybe he and Marvin shared, and he's trying to make his stamp on it, and his stamp isn't going so well at the moment because the draft since Marvin's been gone, and maybe Zach Taylor and his staff are culpable of this too, but somebody has the final say, and it is Duke Tobin who has the final say. Maybe a collaboration on scouting, and, a coach has his opinion, a scout has his opinion. Duke has the final say on this stuff, and it hasn't gone well. And so at what point do you have to say, listen, I know you were the architect of some good teams, but you're not any longer, and you don't get another swing at this. You had the last 4 or 5 years to have people on this roster on rookie contracts when we knew the payday was coming for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Trey. Well, you didn't know it until the last few years. And Trey Hendrickson. You needed guys on rookie contracts to perform, and now you're going to have to go in the offseason and spend a whole lot more money again to try to get this thing right.
Yeah, and can we stop acting like getting Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase was some genius work of roster management? Like, everyone in the world was going to take those two guys.
Well, or listen, it was down to Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell, and the way Penei Sewell's career is gone, you couldn't have gone wrong either way you went with that one.
Right, exactly. So the whole thing of like he built this great roster in the first place is kind of a bogus narrative. I mean, great for what you did, but you should have had more than a 2-year window with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins all on rookie deals.
Go look at the draft since 2021. Just go look at them. They're a joke.
What did you make of Logan Wilson? Going back to that real quick. Last thing here. What did you make of him doing that farewell letter and mentioning everyone that's ever picked up a towel inside the Bengals locker room, but leaving Zach Taylor off of it?
It's weird. Yeah, that's weird to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's a rift. I mean, Logan
there has to be now, right?
There has to be. Yeah, I just didn't think there was one, to be honest with you. I mean, it was Zach's call to pull him out of the starting lineup and put Barrett Carter in. That part I know because he's told us that it was his decision to make, and maybe that was the final straw for Logan. Of you're taking me out of the lineup for this guy. To hell with you, then, man. For all I've done for you. I guess I get that part of it. It sounds like a little butthurt in my opinion.
But if you're Logan Wilson and you've watched the way these rookies have played the last few weeks since you've been pulled out of the lineup, I feel like you have permission to be butthurt.
Yeah, maybe. I got to tell you.
I'm not saying he's right. I get why Zach's doing what he's doing.
I think he stinks anymore. I don't think
I do too.
And I think the point of putting the rookies in is a couple of fold. I think it's also, in my opinion, Zach thumbing his nose at the front office and going, look what you've given me, and I'm going to play these two guys to hell with it, okay? Look what you've given me. I'm going to just put these two kids together and let them sink or swim together. I truly think that's what it is.
But you can totally see how, from his perspective, he's sitting there going, I'm still better than these guys. You thought I was the problem? Look what I had around me.
He was a part of the problem.
He was. Of course, we know that. But from his perspective, if he's looking at it subjectively, which he will be because it's from his perspective, he's going to be looking at it and go, you thought I was the problem. You pulled me out and you got even worse at that position. These rookies can't play at all. So I could see where he'd be pissed about it all, but there's no doubt about it. He's thinking like Gina that got my jock strap clean and Eric Ball who did what God knows what in the lot. I mean, like he's thinking everyone he could think of in the organization except for Zach Taylor. It was pretty obvious a shot at him.
Yep, fair point.
All right, anything else on the Bengals?
No, it's just the goofy part is we should be talking about how great Joe Flacco has done and how miraculous the things he's doing are, and it's literally a footnote. I mean, the other part that's so goofy is, Rick, this is a disaster. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this defense is on pace for historical to set the all-time record for points allowed, all those things. I don't think it's going to get any better. But you're literally a couple of plays away from being in the bye week 5-4 and feeling good about yourself, right? I mean, it's so as much of a disaster as this is. You're 2 plays away from being 5-4.
Yes, that's correct. And Joe Flacco, who we talked about, wow, what a situation for him. He goes from being on the bench with that terrible Cleveland team to winning that Thursday night game against the Steelers, and he's riding high. And the thing is, Skinny, he's kept playing like that. But now he's right back in turmoil, and the fan base hates everything, and all of this sucks again. What a roller coaster couple of months it's been for Joe Flacco. I just can't imagine living that over the last 2 months. All right, college football. we don't get to do this often. So let's talk about your Kentucky Wildcats with a big win, 10-3 over Auburn. So good it got Hugh Freeze fired, Skinny.
So Sunday when I went to the press box, we were all kind of recounting our Saturdays of college football watching in various degrees. And I said, man, I'm surprised I'm sitting, I think it was like 11:15. I said, I'm surprised I'm sitting here and Hugh Freeze hasn't been fired yet. And whatever it was, an hour or so later, there it was. I mean, you knew it. That had to be coming.
Yeah, it's like the Mississippi State thing.
Yes.
Where you beat Mississippi State and then your coach still gets fired. It was sort of like, I mean, Kentucky won the game, but it was like, if you lose to Kentucky, you got to go.
Yeah, you got to go. If you lose to Kentucky at home, you got to go.
Yes. The funniest part about this game was the last points of the entire game were scored with like 10 minutes to play in the third quarter.
Yeah.
When Kentucky had a touchdown. And we were just sitting there hanging on for
hanging
a quarter
on
and a half.
Yes. Hanging on for dear life.
It was just an absurdly boring and ugly and silly game.
And now with god-awful Florida coming to Kroger Field and still a game with Tennessee Tech and Vandy that feels like it's teetering a little bit, right? They did win a couple of weeks ago in a close game at home over Missouri. Then they just lost. So you got them still left, and you got the rival Louisville. Now there's I've listened to shows where the conversation of maybe they can get to a bowl.
Where are you at with that? You don't want that, right?
I don't want that, but I do want that. I mean, I'm so conflicted. I'm so
you want to watch some BS bowl game.
I will tell you this. I said this on I do a Lexington radio hit every Monday, and we were talking about this. I said, listen, if he does get this team to 6-6 in a bowl game, then he has earned the opportunity to come back. I can't say that's not that. In all fairness, that's fair in my opinion.
I mean, yes, but the bigger issue in college football is putting together the roster, not showing you can coach them up to mediocrity. And that would be my concern if I'm a Kentucky fan.
I'm noting you.
All right, number 25, Cincinnati. They dropped down to 25 in the polls after losing to Utah 45-14. They also did not make the first college football playoff rankings, Skinny. I
wonder if they would have if they had won. I don't think they would have. I think they'd have been close.
Definitely would have, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, the top 25. CFP puts out a top 25.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, I was thinking top 12. But
yeah, they wouldn't have been in the top 12. But I do think they might have been like 15th.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's probably right.
They to only score 14 points on 430 yards of offense is weird. This was a weird game.
Yeah, but Sorsby was 11 for 33.
Yeah, it was not his best performance. The game got away from them at some point in the second quarter, and then they just couldn't get back on track for whatever reason.
I think that was everybody's fear going in this game was just because they run that 3-3-5 defense, and because Utah is such a power running team that they were just going to get it run right down their throat, and they just did. To lose at Utah is not an awful thing. I think they are good, really good. They're consistently good. They have an identity. They know what they are, and they use that. And that place a tough place to play. I mean, they were almost a double-digit underdog, UC was. So going there and losing wasn't bad. The way you lost, though, makes you then go, Arizona's playing better, and BYU's really good, and TCU on the road. Oh, boy, could this end in an ugly manner to where what should be a feel-good season, and to this point has been, go to a Grady salvages job.
Right, exactly. And the problem with this performance, like you said, was it got ugly. The 45-14 score is going to make people say, see, they were a fraud. Like they were beating up on bad teams.
And I don't think that's fair, but I think that's the narrative. I think this is a good team. I don't know if it's a great team. I mean, it still has a chance to actually get in the college football playoff. It still controls its own destiny to go to the Big 12 championship game win a Big 12 championship and earn a spot in the college football playoff. There's also a scenario where you go, they could lose the last 3 games and go to the Belk Bowl and wind up actually 7-6.
Yeah, and those things feel so far apart in terms of how you'd feel about this season, but it's a real thin line right now, the way it's coming down this stretch. Like you said, they can still play for the Big 12 championship, but these next 2 weeks, both being at home against Arizona and then number 8 BYU, that's it. I mean, that's huge. Not that the TCU game isn't going to be tough on the road, but those 2 games pretty much decide how everyone's going to feel about this year.
Yeah, I mean, take advantage of the home game.
Yep, you got to. All right, number 1, Ohio State crushed Penn State 38-14. They'll play at Purdue Saturday at 1 o'clock. Julian Sayin, 20 of 23, Skinny, in this one, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is now the front runner to win the Heisman, according to FanDuel's odds as of this morning. He's plus 150 odds to win the Heisman. IU's quarterback Fernando Mendoza is plus 240, and then Alabama's Ty Simpson is at plus 390.
I mean, he is completing. I want to look up the exact number. That's what I was looking up while you're talking there. He's completing 80.7% of his passes.
That's a joke. Absurd. Every single week he goes in with that completion percentage, and you're going like, okay, obviously it's going to come down, and somehow he bumps it up another 0.5% or 2%.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt when you have a pass that's tipped and your star wide receiver reaches behind him and grabs something one-handed. That doesn't hurt.
What a catch. It is kind of interesting, though, that I guess I assume defenses are just doing everything they can to take Jeremiah Smith away. It does, like, he has not had many massive games. A lot of them have gone to Carnell Tate this year.
Yeah, but he's still a factor.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe. I mean, like the catches he makes are incredible still, but he hasn't put up those gaudy, like 150 yards or 200-yard games that you might have expected coming in.
No, I mean, if you're a DC going into that game, who's the man you're circling and saying he's not going to beat us? Now they got other guys that are very capable of beating you, and they've proven that. But you got to go in with a plan of taking some key part away. I think last year, because they ran the ball so well with Judkins and the kid in New England, I'm drawing a blank, the Henderson kid, that you really had to kind of focus on that more than anything else. And now it's literally you got to focus on Jeremiah Smith. Not that Ohio State can't run the football, because they run the football just fine.
Yeah, well, and that was the big concern from all the fan base. We talked about that last week. All the Ohio State fans were getting worried, like, oh, our run game's struggling. It's like, well, do you really need it with the way you've been throwing the ball? And in this game, Bo Jackson ran 13 times for 105 yards, 8.1 a carry. I know he had the big 50-yard run that helped those numbers, but that counts too. Like that's part of it. You break off a 50-yard run, that certainly is going to help your running game. So I'm not nearly as worried about the running game as Ohio State fans are. The only thing I see is they don't run with Julian Sayin, and I am firmly in the camp of when Ryan Day has a mobile running quarterback in his offense, they're way better in the red zone. They're way harder to guard.
Yeah, the thing is, though, man, all they need to do is score 14 points, and I mean, they would have tied this game. At 14. That's literally all they need to score.
That's true. Yeah, the defense is so good. We're going to have a question about that coming up and Ask Skinny Anything here in a little bit. But the college football playoff rankings did come out. First edition of them, Skinny. Ohio State was number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M number 3, and Alabama number 4. Those were the teams with the byes. I won't go through all of it here, but did you see anything that stood out to you with the college football rankings?
No, I heard some national pundits that thought Indiana might be number 1. I don't know how or why they thought that, but they thought Indiana might be number 1. Indiana does have some impressive wins. There's no question about that. But, I mean, I think we've talked about this. The gap to me is just huge. Now, Indiana can certainly prove us wrong. Kurt Signetti, if he's listening to this right now, would probably be admonishing me for overlooking them. But I just think the gap is just way wide. It is to me. The Big Ten championship game is going to be fascinating if it winds up being IU and Ohio State, which I think it's going to wind up being IU and Ohio State. And they may even wind up rematching in the national championship game when all is said and done for this. The team that is closing the gap a little bit is Alabama. I mean, they had the disastrous early loss. Felt like everybody was out on them, and they just seem to be getting better and better and better.
The way I see it is Ohio State's up at the top with a clear separation between them and anybody else.
Yep.
And then right now, I would argue that Indiana might have a little bit of separation between them and everybody else. Although if you asked me who's right there, it's Alabama. Like Alabama and Indiana might kind of be in that second tier by themselves. And then after that, there's probably like, I don't know, 10, maybe less than that, 5-ish, 6-ish teams that I feel like are all kind of the same right now that I do not think they're beating Ohio State.
I don't either.
It'd have to be a fluke type performance.
I would agree with that completely.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our pick'em segment. It was a rough week for you, Skinny. 1-7.
I realized
week.
I did hit my best bet.
You did? No, you pushed.
It pushed.
You pushed on it. Yeah. Minnesota beat Michigan State 23-20, so that pushed on the -3 line for you. I had Memphis did beat Rice 38-14. That spread was 13.5, so I had my Memphis over Rice hit. I was 4-4. So overall, you're 29-35 now. I am 34-30. You still have some weeks to catch up here before the end of the season. We always end up like one game apart going into the final week, so I have no doubt that will happen here. Bearcats and Bengals are both on a bye, as we talked about. So we've got Saturday, 1 p.m. It's Ohio State at Purdue. The Buckeyes are a 29.5-point favorite. The total is 48.5.
I mean, the road game gives you a little pause, but Purdue is they're awful. They're better than last year, and that's not saying much. You probably will sweat this cover, but you'll get it. Ohio State 37, Purdue 0.
So Ohio State and the under for you. I agree that Ohio State's going to cover this number one way or another. It does feel like a big number, but they cover everything. I mean, they always cover. So I'm going to go 45-10 here. Ohio State and the over for me. Saturday at 7:30, we've got Florida at Kentucky.
Hey, wait a minute. What did you say was last week? 0-7 or 1-7?
You were 1-7 last week.
Yeah, 1-7. Okay, because I was going to say I know I hit the Bengals over because that was the easiest play of the week.
Correct. You were 1-7 out of our 8 picks. We had 4 games.
That's right. Okay.
Line and over under. Saturday at 7:30, it's Florida at Kentucky. Florida's a 3.5-point favorite. The total is 44.5.
I'm back in, baby. Kentucky 23, Florida 20.
Oh, skinny. So that's the Kentucky and the under there.
Yep.
I agree on the under part of it, but I think this is the exact opposite. It's like Kentucky feeling good about themselves. They're celebrating all week. That was their Super Bowl last week, actually getting a win that they felt. So Florida is going to beat them. It's 24-14 Florida.
Played Ole Miss tough at home. Played Texas tough at home. Didn't play Tennessee so tough at home.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yes, we will.
Favorite bet of the week. What do you got?
All right. I'm going again with the play against. West Virginia is at home laying 6.5 to Colorado. Colorado is awful with a capital A. West Virginia's coming off of a good road win at Houston. Give me West Virginia laying the 6.5.
All right. So West Virginia 6.5 against Colorado. I'm going to pick on Penn State here. I think we saw Penn State play as well as they could play last week against Ohio State. As much as you might look at it and say, oh, Indiana's not as good as everyone thinks, and this is going to be a bit. Penn State's going to be up for this. Penn State was up last week for Ohio State. This is not the big game for them. It was last week to ruin Ohio State season.
And it was 17-14 at the half. I mean, they slugged it out with them for a half, and then the walls fell down.
They played as well as they could play last week. I don't think they'll replicate that performance. I know this game's at Penn State, but I'm going. And the other thing is, Kurt Cignetti is not going to let this game be close if he can help it. He is going to do everything he can to turn this into a blowout.
Absolutely.
So minus 14.5, I'm taking Indiana there or at Penn State. All right. College basketball season tipped off, Skinny. Not a lot to talk about yet. We've got a few more teams playing their second game here tonight as we're recording this on Thursday morning, but we've got some openers to look at. Let's just start off with this. Who did you think was most impressive out of the local teams in their opening night win?
That's a good question. Because I didn't think Kentucky was overly impressive. Definitely not Xavier slugging it out with merits. I'd go with UC. I mean, I don't think West Carolina is any good, but I liked UC's pace of play. Had a bunch of different guys making shots, a bunch of different guys scoring. I thought they pushed the ball well. I think if I'm doing this off top, 20 assists on 35 made buckets. They probably turned it over too much against a team like that 15 times. But if you're going to play with that kind of pace, you're probably going to turn it over more than you'd like to turn it over. So I'll tip my cap to UC in the opener.
Yeah, it had to be UC or NKU, like you said. Kentucky was bad for a half. I thought they got it going in the second half there, but the first half was definitely a slow start. And NKU looked great, but they were playing a non-Division I opponent. Yeah. So tough to take much from that. I think it's got to be UC. Having 3 guys scored 18 points is a good sign, I think. Yeah. And the other thing is he's going to be frustrating. He's going to take some shots that are absolutely going to drive fans crazy, probably in important moments by making a bad decision. But Sean Abayev is a scorer. Yeah, unlike many in college basketball.
The only thing, and I was on a podcast last night, and we were talking a little UC basketball, and I said, I just don't know if you're going to know anything about this team in the non-conference other than the couple of tough games they play, just because of the level of competition. Because, man, it just ramps up so significantly in the Big 12. Like, I saw what you see in Sean Abayev. How's he going to handle Big 12 physicality? Maybe he handles it just fine, but I don't know that because I haven't seen that.
That's fair. And there are going to be games, I think, where he disappears and he has a terrible night and you're benching him late or whatever. I mean, there are going to be some bumps along the way. I don't think this is a perfect team guy that fits really well into the college game. But in terms of a one-on-one scoring ability, I don't think there are a lot of guys like him in the country. No. I think he can go out and get his own bucket almost whenever he wants to against whoever he wants to.
He's just got weird length to him.
Weird length, size. He's got that herky jerkiness to his handles. He can get that step back off. He can drive you in and get fouled. He's big. He's super skilled with his shot making ability. He's got all the things you want out of an ISO scorer. And UC hasn't had that really. Like any of the guys you can think about that's been their leading scorer during the Wes Miller era, none of them have been close to being the individual scorer he is.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to make Jizzle that last year, and that just didn't work. They did it by default. Yeah, it wasn't even close. To your point, I mean, anything you need to get for CMOS had to come off of a screen of some kind. So yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so that's got my eye. Shauna Bayev was definitely kind of the big storyline for me from the opening games. From an NKU standpoint, just humor me a minute. I mean, 3 guys making multiple 3-pointers in your starting lineup, 6 guys hitting threes, Cale Robinson hitting 4 of them from the forward spot and scoring 22. You know, we talked a lot about Dan Goretzka and LJ Wells coming into this season, but the fact that they've got a Donovan O'Day, a Cale Robinson, and Ethan Elliott that can all play on the offensive end. Ethan Elliott at the point guard position looked fantastic running their offense and speeding them up. I think this is a little bit different of an NKU team than we've seen for most years under Darren Horn's tenure.
The only thing I'll ask you was UC's Claremont's front line like 6'3", 6'2", 6'2"? How big were they?
They're a small team, but their leading scorer from last year was back. He's a 6'7" center who's a big time athlete. Now he did not do much against NKU, but their best player was their big man who's 6'7". So it wasn't like they didn't have anybody with any size. Now they're jacking a bunch of threes. They're a terrible team. Like you're not taking much from that game. But if you locked NKU's entire starting 5 from last season in a gym by themselves for 40 minutes, I'm not sure that they would have hit as many threes as this year's team did against UC Claremont. Yeah, so that was a positive sign, I think.
I want to go back to your original question. You said, how did you phrase the initial question?
What do you think was most impressive?
Yeah.
Who did you think was most impressive?
Colin Chandler on the dunk.
Oh, skinny. I knew he was athletic, but I didn't know he was like that.
I didn't either. Like when you windmill it that far, you got to be in the air for a while.
That's the thing. Like to cock it to back down to your waist the way he did while he's in the middle of the lane in air. That's a dunk where you've got bounce. Like he's got 40-inch vertical probably if he's dunking like that.
Yeah, I don't want to see him play much more point guard, but that was pretty impressive.
That was fantastic. I mean, maybe not dunk of the year, but it's like a top 5, top 10 dunk of the year in opening night. That's pretty damn good.
Pretty good one.
Yeah. Are you concerned at all about Kentucky's offense and 3-point shooting? They really didn't shoot the 3 well in either of the preseason games, and they struggled again in this one.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because they do have good shooters. So I don't know if it's – I don't know what it is. Like Cam Williams was a shooter, right? I mean, he is a shooter. Trent Noah's a shooter. He's not major. Colin Chandler did make some shots in this game. I think he had an 0 for 7 in one of the exhibition games. No, not until it becomes a real trend over a significant period of time. Because these guys have made shots before.
It's Pope's system and their point guard.
The one thing I will say, though, I do think when Jalen Lowe comes back, that you have enough athleticism on the floor where you don't have to rely a ton on the 3 ball. It's got to be a part of what you do. It's a part of what they do. But I think you got enough people that can go create their own, him especially, or him creating for others, that you don't have to totally rely on taking 35 or 43s a night.
Yeah, I think that's right. I also think just having your main creator and point guard back running the show will help their offense in general. And that'll lead to more made shots.
And I also think I think this is a far better defensive team than last year, too.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't need to score in the 90s to win big games. I mean, you can – again, the other night was not pretty. I mean, let's face facts. I mean, it's Nicholls State, for goodness sakes. But I think we're getting back to the point with Kentucky basketball, like when you play Nicholls State, if you don't win by 40, it's an utter disappointment.
Yes. And that's fine. That's how UK fans should be. That's how they've always been, except for a few years where they got kind of depressed and down there. Yes. But I think that's right. It's mostly an overreaction, but it is something that we'll have our eye on through the next couple of weeks. Xavier, I know you're going to the game tonight. I'll be there as they take on Lemoyne in their second game. Did you have any thoughts from their opener after they struggled to beat Marist?
I think this is going to be rougher than I thought it was going to be. Again, that's probably an overreaction, but
I will say I was impressed that they built a 20-point lead in the second half. I was kind of surprised to see that, even though they lost it.
Yeah, then they lost it. I mean, I kind of made fun of it last week, but All Right was pretty good.
And, it's funny because he did not get hardly any buzz in preseason.
I know it. That's why I asked you about him last week. I mean, in addition to poking fun at the name a little bit.
Every time I asked people at Xavier about him, it was kind of the same thing of like, it's okay, can make some shots, really small. And I think what you saw, he didn't start in this game, but then he did start the second half. And I think what you saw is they need more playmaking and shooting.
Yes.
And regardless of
the 2 New Mexico guys, my word.
Yeah, Jovan was great late in the game. He hit all the big shots late, including the 3 that kind of won it for them. But yeah, Filip Borovic, and he was the guy who started the game and then didn't start the second half in place of All Right. He played like 20 something minutes a game last year in New Mexico and averaged 4 or 5 points. Right. He's not a scorer. He's not an offensive threat. I think they're going to have to find ways to get All Right, Jovan Milicevic, probably their 2 best shooters on this roster right now, into the game more often with those other starters. And that's what I think we saw a little bit on opening night. But man, that's the other thing about this team. They're clearly still trying to figure out who their best players are because there's not much separation between their top.
And I think you'll see that for a good chunk of the non-con.
You might be right. All right. Any other thoughts about that?
The thing I love about early season college basketball, and if I don't find this, I'm going to kick myself in the head, are some of the teams that some of these teams play. Rice the other night, was this Tuesday night maybe? Rice played something. There they are. Oh, it won't come up. It was the College of Biblical something or other. They beat them 109-38. I mean, what are we doing? The unintended consequence of the quad system, the quads 1 through 4 that they do on the team sheets now, has been these non-Division I opponent games and playing the worst teams in all of Division I, and no one's scheduling any good made majors anymore. That's a real problem for the sport. Yeah, somebody explained this the other day, and I wish I could give credit to who it was. It might have been Keegan Nicholson. I can't remember who it was, but made a point of, maybe it was on Kentucky Sports Radio, it was somewhere, that for a lot of these high major teams, you'll take the high major neutral court game, maybe a home and home, and that's about it. And instead of then scheduling a bunch of quad 2s to fill the non-con out, you go to quad 4s because wins over quad 4s don't ding you as much as losses to quad 2s. Well, I would say, the quad 2 is maybe a bit of a jump between, like, those teams mostly aren't in the same game bucket that you're putting the quad 4 games in, but a good quad 4 versus the worst team in college basketball, there's no reason to play the good quad 4 teams anymore, which is like, the NKU, the mid-majors that win their conferences. Those teams now can't schedule anybody because it counts the same. A quad 4 loss or a quad 4 win is the same, whether it's against the best quad 4 or the worst quad 4, at least on the team sheets. And you get the same thing with playing like you don't get much credit for beating a quad 3 team that might have a chance to win their league, but you'll beat the quad 4, the non-Division I team, by 150 points, and no one cares. That is an actual issue for college basketball right now. And part of it is because they're worried about raising all this money so they can pay out NIL and everything else, which is coming from the schools now. Yet they've never been more reckless about decreasing the value of their season tickets for season ticket holders. Like, we got 2 or 3 non-Division I games at your home arena that fans are paying to see. That's not a good product that you're putting out there for them. They're not going to continue to do that. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. The one thing I do love, though, that you mentioned, like the crazy names, I've seen more AAU jerseys and AAU looking team names this week than I ever have. I mean, there are so many non-Division ones that I had never heard of before that had like crazy looking logos and stuff. It's like, who approved this? It's 2025. There's got to be a graphic designer at your school that can come up with some type of new logo for you. It would cost money. Get an intern in to do it for free. I mean, some of these things were literally done with like Microsoft Paint from the 1980s, and they just haven't changed it. That's great. I don't know if Paint existed in the 80s, but shout out to our guy, Bill Gates. All right, ask anything. Let's do it. We got 2 questions for you. Yep. Rank these experiences by how unenjoyable they are. Oh, wow. Doctor's office, dentist office, tax office, DMV. I pick good times for DMV, and I've got the DMV right by my house. So the DMV is probably the I would call it enjoyable, but I can zip in and out of the DMV really quickly. I time it up usually at good times when I have to get license renewal. So I'm going to put that as the easiest. Doctor's office, man. I like my primary care doctor. She's really good. She's a Holy Cross grad, by the way. Shout out to the Indians. Yep. And I do have a minor blood pressure issue. It's not major. I take a small pill for it. But I guarantee you, she takes my blood pressure when I first go in there. And she goes, it's a little high. I'll take it again when we're done. So once she starts, checking me out for about 15 minutes, I guarantee you my blood pressure finally probably just relax, because every time she takes the second time, she goes, okay, you're back to a good level. You're fine. So I'm guessing that raises my blood pressure. Dentist, the only time the dentist bothered me, and you just had it done to you, getting the crown on one of my teeth was the most unenjoyable experience of my lifetime. Didn't hurt because you're all numbed up and stuff, but you can hear them working on it and cracking things and this and that. That's the least enjoyable for me. And what was the other one?
Tax.
I've never had to go. We do taxes on the computer. We do TurboTax.
Nice.
So
there you go. Oh, your 1099s?
We used to have a tax guy. Did it? No, I only have a couple because a lot of things I do, I don't make enough on the 10. Like I'll do an event here and an event there, and it doesn't raise it to the level of needing 1099.
Gotcha.
And I do have a major 1099 that I do have to offset with car mileage.
Yeah. Yes. The car mileage is always great for us 1099ers.
Yes.
Yeah, the tax office for me is actually like, it sucks to do tax time beforehand, but when I get to the tax office, it's not that bad because it's just a lady at her house. Like she has an office built into her home and she smokes cigarettes while I'm in there with her. And she says everything she says it's like out of place. She uses the term crackhead for. So it's like, what do you got with these crackhead documents? Like, so, and I like that. So I enjoy hanging out with her. And I'd also say, as you mentioned, I was just at the dentist actually yesterday or the day before. And the visit started off with my dentist telling me he had just read a news article. He said news article that the ref from the Bengals game on Sunday was under investigation for taking a $500,000 bribe. So I needed to check into that after I got out of the chair because that was going to be coming on my radar with being a sports.
Where did the news article come from?
I didn't ask that. I just said, that's it. Yeah. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that.
That's a good answer to something like that.
I wanted to so bad tell him that like, hey, you just got fooled by a Facebook meme.
Correct.
That is, by the way, that's going on nonstop. I don't know if you get on Facebook at all still for work, but like when you get into Facebook now, there's just all these like sports memes. They're like little graphics and they'll say like a quote from someone or whatever, but they're just fake. None of it's ever happened. And there's like all these sites doing it nonstop about every team and every player. I don't understand what's going on.
Have we seen the one this week? Because I guarantee it's going to be floating around at some point that the buy is favored by 4.5 over the Bengals.
Oh, it's just a good joke. Just a good joke. All right. On the It Is What It Is podcast, Cameron, one of your favorite artists.
Sure.
Rapper Cameron. Hey Ma, I know you love that song.
Is it KAM''RON?
It's CAM''RON.
Okay, I knew the apostrophe had to be in there.
Yeah, your guy Cameron. He stated that the OSU defense is better than the Bengals. Do you guys agree? I think most people in town would, and I hate Ohio State. That was from our poster, not me.
It's not better than the Bengals. I love when these come up. Like Duke could beat the Washington Bullets. No, they couldn't.
You're gonna hate me.
Alabama can beat. No, they couldn't.
You're really going to not like this.
Go ahead.
I agree with you 100% of the time on 99.9% of the time on these things. When people go like, oh, the so-and-so could beat so-and-so. That's always ridiculous. I would take Ohio State's defense in a straight up trade for the Bengals defense right now. I'm not saying Ohio State could beat the Bengals. That's not true. But if you would give me, Ohio State has at least 3 players that I think are going to be really good NFL players. The Bengals have 0. Well, 1. The Bengals have 1.
They have DJ Turner. Yeah,
DJ Turner. And that's it.
Yeah, you can give me Caleb Downs and the linebacker.
Darvell Reese.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you can give me 3 of those players. I'd take them right now. But swap out straight defense. No.
Give me the whole team. At least you get 3 of them, right?
No.
What's the difference between the 4 fat asses that can't get off a block for the Bengals and anybody else in college football right now? 0 difference.
It's always a great debate.
Do you think Chris Jenkins is better than anyone on Ohio State's roster right now on the defensive line?
I don't know. Put him back in college and maybe he is.
Let's go back. Let's put him at Michigan.
I mean,
let's see.
Hey, the Bengals weren't the only ones that had a second round grade on Chris Jenkins.
I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying that they drafted wrong there, but this is where it's gotten them. And Ohio State, I would take Ohio State's defense straight up over the Bengals right now. The funny thing is, I'm in a group text with the guy who moved to Cincinnati. Our wives are friends. He was a Columbus guy. So he's a Browns fan. And he texted me that like, I've watched, a team that went 1 and whatever the Browns won over those 2 seasons. He's like, and I've never seen a defense this bad. And I said to him, my response back was, I'd trade Ohio State's defense straight up for the Bengals. And then literally 3 days later, this guy asked us this question. Yeah,
I know. I get it. It's I'm glad you took the other side of this.
I'll be wrong on this one, but I actually believe it this time. I've never been in on those. I always think they're the dumbest comments, But like just trading the defense straight up, I would do. That's how bad I think the Bengals are right now on defense.
1996 Kentucky versus the 2025 New Orleans Pelicans. Who you got?
Do you think it'd be easier to compete in football or basketball when we do those scenarios? It's got to be basketball, right?
Oh yeah, basketball.
The physical difference.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah. But for some reason, it doesn't feel as close to me. Like when we compare college basketball teams to NBA teams, that never feels close. Let's like
the undefeated Kentucky team that ended up, undefeated until they lost to Wisconsin. I mean, that was star-studded NBA guys left and right. Could you have plopped them into the NBA and they win double-digit games?
No.
Okay.
No, that's how with basketball, it's so different because all 5 guys on the NBA court are the best players from their college team. Like every single one of them is the best player from their college team, and they are all like they're still really good. Football, it feels different. There's so many bodies. I think guys kind of slip through the cracks, and you it's easier to misdiagnose, and you're hidden by other things.
Yes, no, I think that's the other part. You're hidden by certain things.
Yeah, system matters more, all of that. Whereas basketball just feels like the individual talent's just not there.
If you could give me Caleb Downs right now, I would take Caleb Downs right now. I will take him right now.
And that's kind of where I'm getting at this. Like, if you could tell me that we just have to get rid of everyone on the Bengals defense and I get all the players that Ohio State has, it's like you're in a better spot because at least you have 2 guys that you want to build around if you have Ohio State's defense. With the Bengals, you got nothing. You got 1 defensive back.
I'll trade. Let's go 10 for 10. I get to keep DJ Turner.
Well, that'd be amazing. Now you got a defensive back, you got a safety, and you got a linebacker.
There you go. You've talked me into it. As long as we can go 10 for 10 instead of 11 for 11.
There we go. I knew you'd see it my way. That's all we got.
All right. Appreciate the questions. Thanks very much. For Rick Boring, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly poetry edition presented by Blake